Okay, so we're here with the senior housing coach, Allan Erselius. Let's talk about marketing. You got a facility, and we're in there. What do we do when we talk about marketing? Because I think this is something that a lot of operators, especially first-time operators, probably won't really consider or think about until it might be a little bit too late.
Yeah, it's really changed over the last 10 years. You could say 10 years ago, you could drop a newspaper ad and get response. You could put something online, you'd get a tremendous response. But now the change of the dynamics has really gone to internet only for leads. And when we talk about leads, they have to be qualified leads. So is somebody ready to move in the next 30 days? And can
Yeah.
they afford your product? So a lot of people say, well, yeah, I got a lot of leads, but they're not quality leads. Or somebody's just shopping for the next 2 years, or just in case my mom falls down. So with every property, you almost have to say, how many move outs am I going to experience in a 2 or 3 month time period? And try to get an average of move outs. So your move ins have to obviously exceed the move outs so that you get a net gain. Most properties have about 2 move outs a month. So if you get 3 to 4 move ins a month, you're going to be really getting a lot of good traction on revenue. So the ratio of closings is about 30 to 40%. So each month, if you have 10 new good quality leads, you should be able to close 3 to 4 of them, which would cover your move outs. So from the marketing side, you're saying, where can I get 10 good leads? And the first place you've got to realize is Facebook changed the dynamics about 4 years ago. When women were 50, 60 years old, started talking and giving referrals back and forth, they were using Facebook. They were using Etsy. They were using Twitter. They were using Instagram. They were literally taking over the referral process. So between Facebook, Google, and A Place for Mom, which is a referral agency, those 3 mediums pretty much dominate your internet leads. So if you're a new owner, you should go back and find out the last 3 months, where did our leads come from? If they only came through A Place for Mom or caring.com, then you realize that you got a hole in Google, you got a hole in Facebook and other social media areas. So getting good 10 quality leads should be the objective literally of every operator every month. And that doesn't require a salesperson. It just requires good internet marketing strategy. So
Well, you had also said there's look, the internet leads, you need to have them coming in from the outside, people looking for it. But then the ED or the operator, there are the sort of guerrilla tactics, right? The things that you have to do to get in
yeah.
front. Can you just talk about those real quick?
Yeah, realistically, you're still going to have family and friends that
Yep.
would come in and give you leads and referrals. You'll also have your professional nurses, doctors that'll say, yeah, you really should go check out that place. So the person that receives the leads, the first impact is usually the ED. You may not even need a salesperson, but if that ED conveys a sense of warmth, of responsibility for that senior, that is super, and knows the right questions to ask about that senior. What's their living situation? What's their medical situation? What restrictions? What do they like to do? What do they like to eat? Usually you can get all the information you need within a half an hour by just talking to somebody.
Well, so something that I think if you're not familiar with marketing on Facebook, that I think more people should be doing and they don't, is look, Facebook generates roughly 4 million gigabytes of data on a day-to-day basis, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
4 million gigabytes. That's like it's a hard number to get your head around, but that's every single day of personal data around the world. And so because of that, it's an amazing marketing tool. And I think if you are getting these referrals and you're getting these leads from these referral services or any of those leads that you have, I think as an operator, you have to have a list that you put together. And the reason you need to have this list is once you have about 500 names, and I would limit this to people that you've engaged with that are gonna do it. They're not just tire kickers. You've talked to them, you know the circumstance, because when you have about 500 people, there's something that you can do in Facebook, and it's called targeting. And what you can do through the method of targeting is once you have that list of 500, you're going to upload this list into the Facebook ad manager. When you put it there, you can generate this thing called a lookalike audience. And a lookalike audience is basically going to take those 500 people, and their algorithm is going to run through it, and they're going to find all of the interconnecting pieces, right? So all the pieces that make those people similar. Then they're going to take that, and then they're going to go out into the world and find you people that have that same series of traits, and then that will come to you. And you can set it up geographically so that you only find those characteristics within a certain radius of your facility or certain zip code, and that'll allow you to have ads in front of people that are similar, because there's going to be those unifying patterns. And for people who aren't familiar, I'm going to tell a quick anecdotal story because this is very related to marketing here, so you understand the power of this marketing. So there's a great article in Forbes magazine, and this was from 2012, and it has to do with Target. And so the story goes, father comes into the Target one day, irate, losing his mind, wants to see the manager, gets in front of the manager, tells the manager, said, "What are you trying to do? Are you trying to get are you trying to plant ideas in my daughter's head? She's only, 14 or 15 years old. Do you want her to get pregnant?" And the manager, having no idea what's going on, is like, "What do you mean?" Father shows him a circular, and in that circular there are diapers, there are baby chairs, car seats, like everything for a baby. And so the managers just apologize, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Father leaves. Manager is so shaken up. The next day he calls the father again to apologize, right? Because he has no idea what's going on. Well, that passes. A few weeks later, the father calls the store back, asks for the manager, and he says to the manager, "I'm sorry for how I acted when I came in. There are some things that have been going on in my house that I was unaware of," right? And what it was is that, yes, his daughter was pregnant. It was expected. That Target, they do this two ways. They do this with their loyalty program, and they do this with your credit card, because every time you swipe that card, they know it's exactly you. They track all of your purchasing history, and their algorithm has figured out what coordination of products that a female or a woman would purchase that eventually leads to a pregnancy. And it's so precise, they can nail the due date within 2 weeks.
Wow.
So all the purchases, that all the ads that they're sharing with you leading up to them, is a coordinated series of ads leading up to your due date. And so if they can do that based on millions and millions of transactions in their database, imagine how well something like Facebook could target. And I think it's something that if you're in this business, or any business at all, you really have to put some time and attention to, because the demographic, the child that is going to be the one who makes these decisions and actually deals with the finances, they are becoming the prime demographic on Facebook.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you actually should do a little walkthrough and show us screenshots of step by step how to do that. I know with Google, on Google search, they also do the analytics. So if a woman 50 years old is searching for senior housing in Atlanta, Georgia, and is looking for memory care or whatever, as they start looking at their search criteria, they start running their own analytics on that person. And just like what you're saying on Facebook, they kind of marry you up with them. So it all goes back to the point that on marketing, it's not dropping an ad in the newspaper anymore.
Yeah.
It's really understanding social media and how the internet's structured for search and find. So, and that's really, really classic. I appreciate your story. You have to flip it around and say, okay, if I'm a 50-year-old, 55-year-old woman that has a mom that's 75 to 85, where am I going to go for information? And where's her natural sources of information? So she's going to get on the phone, maybe talk to Place for Mom, get online, do the search criteria, go to Google. All of those areas where she's going to search is where we have to be in marketing. So that's the lead generation side, I guess, of the equation.
Now we're talking about part two, which when we're talking about marketing, um, sort of the conversion, right? So you've got to
Right,
set an
lead
appointment.
conversion.
Can you talk about that? Just the lead conversion.
Yeah. A lot of people and a lot of salespeople, the older generation salespeople, love to have 150 people that they said are in my database.
Yeah.
Realistically, there's only 7 to 10 that you can be working on at one time. So ranking and sorting your leads according to who is your most likely person to move in. The ED needs to know, the salespeople need to know, the activities people need to know, the director of nursing need to know. So if Margaret Jones is that person and Margaret Jones shows up, everybody's got to remember, okay, what about Margaret Jones? So the lead conversion is not tricky, but it's very direct. And the receptive person comes in within 5 minutes, they know, are you guys on point or not? If Margaret Jones shows up and everybody goes, well, who are you? That you're really going to have a hard time closing that.
Yeah.
Nobody goes shopping for senior housing unless there's a need. And once there's a need, it's okay, how are you going to answer and meet my needs? So if food or security is a need, you got to have those answers ready to go, and they have to be sincere. The worst salespeople start out with, we have an apartment for $2,700. You will see your lead conversion go down quickly. It's, tell me about Margaret Jones. What's her life like now? What are you worried about? Once they say, here's what I'm worried about, here's my expectations, everybody pretty much knows the price is going to be about the same from product to product. It's what is your point of difference? And if it comes back to that ED caring, which we started with week 1, if the ED cares, the receptionist is going to care, the activity director is going to care, the chef's going to care, everybody's going to hug Margaret Jones as she comes through the property. That is a good lead conversion. The salesperson or ED, their biggest role is closing. Do you want room 101 or 102? Which one's going to work the best for you? The one facing east, the one facing north? Get them to say no 7 times. Classic sales is get them to make the choice and then identify what is keeping you from making that choice. Well, my mom really doesn't want to go. Okay, let's go back over to what does your mom need? What can we supply? And what is your recommendation? And if you say, oh, mom doesn't want to go, then she's not top of the priority. She's really not ready to go.
When you got into the senior housing business, did you think or did you realize that there would be, I mean, because what you're describing is actually just the sales process, right?
Absolutely.
And did you think that that was going to be such an integral part of the business when you first started?
Yeah, I came from the hotel side where we would tour clients and make sure the touring was systematic and logical and had rest points and had little traps for them that they could sit down and rest and say, oh, this is beautiful here. It was almost identical to hotels. And as soon as I saw day one what we were doing, it was like, yep, this is classic selling. Meet the need, answer the objections, make the close. And the funny thing about it, I always thought these people had to be talked into it.
Yeah.
What I found out is 80% of them want the solution before they walk in the front door.
Yeah.
I didn't have to sell anybody. I didn't have to be a salesperson. I just had to be compassionate and say, okay, is your mom going to be a success here? So it's interesting to have customers ready to buy before they even walk in the front door.
I think what you're describing is very much it is a sales process. However, I think the thing that what you're talking about is like housing in general is an emotional thing. As humans,
Absolutely.
every decision we make is based on emotion, no matter how much we say it's logical, right? If we literally could not have emotions, we could not make decisions. I mean, there are people out there that actually have some sort of genetic disorder in their brain where they don't have applicable emotions. And for those people that are out there, it's a very, very rare condition. They can't choose what kind of sandwich they want because everything ends up being equal, right, in their heads. And so from housing being super emotional, in general, now add the complexity of putting your parent somewhere when as the child, you're feeling enormous amounts of guilt. So if you're starting from day one and you're the salesperson there, just mentioning the price is not going to be the thing that gets
No,
you to endear
not
them,
at all.
right? Like you
Not at
need
all.
them to buy into what you're doing.
Yep. We tell the staff people they're buying you. They're buying the ED, they're buying the chef, they're buying the waitress, they're buying the caregiver, they're buying the receptionist, they're buying the maintenance person. They're buying you. And are they going to change from their home that they're lonely in to this new community? Are they buying you? So are you happy or are you in a crappy mood today? Well, that makes a big difference on the sales and the success of the business. And that's the biggest part of marketing is make sure everybody is in a line. And that's why daily we do a daily stand-up meeting at 9 o'clock and everybody's on the same page. And whoever's in charge of sales says, these people are coming in today and here's their background. And it doesn't matter if they belong to the Kiwanis Club or XYZ Country Club or they were a waitress at Denny's. They tell them about the lady that's coming in as well as the children that are involved.
Right.
And that's a successful organization. The ones that just say, yeah, we got a tour today at 2 o'clock, everybody looks sharp, their lead conversion are probably going to be 20 and 25%. And I've had salespeople that have closed 65% of their leads.
How long should the whole process take realistically?
Okay. When I worked in baseball, we had millions of fans, millions of ticket sales. The directive was you make a fan one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So with senior housing, and because of the emotions, because of the elderly's nature of there's only so much they can process. If it only takes you 45 minutes, you're rushing them through there. It'll normally take an hour and a half to 3.5 hours.
Wow.
So if somebody says, I'm going to see 5 places today,
yeah,
I'd say, okay, come back when you can have lunch with us. And I need you to sit down and talk to these other ladies that have the same experience. That alone's an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Then to casually walk them around the building is another 45 minutes. Then to answer their questions and go through finances, and then there may be an activity at 2 o'clock. We say, okay, let's go and watch them do the concert at 2 o'clock. And then you bring them back after 2:30 and say, okay, what'd you think of that?
Yeah.
So they need to feel comfortable in saying, yep, this could be my home. And if they want to do that in 45 minutes, nah, there's no way that that's going to happen. You want that senior to be a successful senior.
How often do the tours occur with just the children, or is it always with the parent?
Yeah, there's a reconnaissance party that normally comes out first, and that's the kids.
Yeah.
And they go, I'm just here to scope this out. And we go, okay. They go, their first question is, how much? And you say, okay, I need you to slow down. Tell me what's going on with your mom.
Yeah.
And they go, but I just want to know how much. I go, it's $2,800. Now tell me about your mom.
Yeah.
And so there's a scouting party that normally comes out, and they may come out 2 or 3 times. And then when mom comes with them, they feel like they have all the questions answered. And they go, Mom, I've already seen the room. You can put in curtains, you can put your easy chair here. So it's 3 or 4 times that you're going to have a tour with that family unit before there's a decision made.
Yeah. And so then this would be one of like the 7 people you're working with that you're sort of following up with and keeping that process going.
And the after hours, if you think most people work, say 9 to 5, even working at home,
yeah,
they will come in after hours, like 6, 7 o'clock at night and go, I just want to see how much it is and what does the room look like? And if your staff that works that second shift isn't up to speed on knowing what information to get, you could lose sales.
Wow.
A lot of sales, especially Saturdays, Sundays, when people are driving around with mom and mom goes, yeah, let's look at Golden Oaks. They pull in, mom's still in the car. Guy goes in, gets a brochure and says how much, and runs right back out in 2 minutes. The staff needs to slow them down and say, okay, tell me about your mom, get their name, address, email. That's all part of the lead generation. But the lead conversion, you could be losing 30 to 40% of your leads because your after hours and weekend people aren't helping you.
In terms of the the managing the marketing process, right, and the entire and compensating the salesperson or the ED. Can we talk about one, who should be managing the marketing process?
There needs to be a dedicated person. There are plenty of software programs that a receptionist could manage 7 to 10 leads. And it's not that difficult. It may seem like it's difficult to a lot of people. The software these days set up, it's very, very easy to manage. The ED eventually is going to be in the picture. So the compensation is it interesting. If you have a dedicated salesperson, probably half of their salary commission basis is on closing the deal. But the receptionist or the chef or the director of nursing or the activities director, they have as much to do with the lead conversion as anybody. And people may just say, you know what, your receptionist has always been so nice to us. I know she's going to take care of my mom. So what we try to do is compensate $100 for each of these people that are touch points. And that also gives people an idea, yeah, I'm important to this process.
You mean during the tour? So the people that are touched during the tour?
That's right.
Okay.
So if Margaret Jones spends time with the receptionist or spends time with the chef or the activities director, the ED counts them as a touch point. And when Margaret Jones signs a contract, gives us the money, we write out a commission check to the salesperson and then a bonus to the following people. Yeah. So if you figure you got 3 move-ins a month, you may be giving out, $1,500 to your staff people.
Yeah.
And they really enjoy that because they feel, yes, I'm part of the success of the business, and I'm helping in the sales side of it or marketing side of it. So the ED is the one that's got to be the referee, so to speak.
I think those are really, really good nuggets. Anything you want to sort of leave in terms of like a marketing or sales sort of ninja trick that you've used through the years or that you've taught your people?
Yeah, slow down. The salesperson wants to so desperately present their presentation of the community. They need to walk the walk with the elderly person, holding her hands, answering her questions, not presenting, answering her questions. By the time the tour is over, you can then do the presentation. But when Margaret's got a question on top of her mind, she's not listening to anything else until you tell me, does your community play bridge? Do you have a book club? What do you get for dessert? Until she gets that answered, I don't care what you present, she's not listening. So we have to slow down and calibrate the marketing and the sales process to that level of that senior. And again, we don't talk down to them. They're intelligent people. And when they realize that we're talking to them as an intelligent person, the kids pretty much relax. And they say, okay, this is how you're going to treat her when she has a problem. Yep, that's how we're going to treat her. She's a reasonable adult and everybody's got problems, but we're not going to just one size fits all for everybody.
Well, I think it's a pretty good overview of the marketing. Obviously, listen, these are topics that you could go in an hour into probably each one, and then even more time if you want to dissect it. But I think you've provided some amazing nuggets here. I will leave us with this one thing on that note: is what you just touched on at the end is so crucial in how people handle those things, but that type of behavior can't be taught. Like I think what you're talking about when you're referring to is tasks and things that people can do because they are sort of conditioned to do that. And it goes back to what you have always stressed about culture, where you have to hire the right people and those people who genuinely want to sort of exude that love and care. You have to have that, because if somebody's involved, that's your typical like high intensity type A, and they try and do that, it's going to feel insincere and the warmth's not going to be there. It just won't be the same, right?
Yeah, when somebody says I'm a used car salesman, I can sell anything. It's like, no, that's not the product here. The product is hugs. The product is making Margaret feel like this is her home and she wants to be here.
Absolutely.
That's not a used car salesman. So yeah, it all comes back down to culture.
Awesome. I think we can wrap that up on the marketing. Stay tuned. We've got more coming to you. Thanks, Allan.